What's up, you guys? What's going on? Eric here, Driveline. Gonna take a walk outside. It is such a beautiful night. Cubs are playing tonight, so go Cubbies. Some of you might see this much later, but man, it is just a perfect night tonight, and I've been really needing a perfect night. I'm in Georgia, Moultrie, Georgia. If anybody's ever been to that, I think it's called a Farmland Fresh. There's a hilarious review on Google. I think it's called Farmland Fresh. Not sure exactly what it is, but it's a chicken plant in Moultrie, Georgia. And in the reviews on Google, someone says something like, great experience. I'm giving it 2 stars only because they missed the opportunity and didn't call it Moultrie Poultry, which I thought was hilarious. But I'm at this little off-brand mom and pop truck stop, gas station. It's actually a pretty nice little place. Dirt lot, but plenty of room. As you can see, there's plenty of parking, and it's late in the evening. And I had just a gnarly, grueling night last night. I delivered to Florida. I delivered to McClenny, Florida, to Walmart. And that was a killer load. It was 1,000 miles for $3,000. Only to McClenny, so only dipping the toe in Florida. And a pre-plan came across. So I delivered that yesterday morning, which had been Friday morning. 0400 on my way down there, or the night before, pre-plan came across that was picking up in Lake City, going further down south in Georgia. And I was like, no, man, the only reason I took that load is because it was only dipping its toe into Florida, right? So I wasn't going to try to go further down into Florida, especially with the weekend coming and everything. But then yesterday morning, after I left Walmart where I delivered, they sent me a pre-plan picking up over here in Moultrie. Not remarkable, but it gets me back into the Midwest and pays like $1.90 a mile. So getting out of the Southeast at $1.90 a mile, getting right back smack into the Midwest, I'm great with. Now, here's the problem. I had yesterday morning, Friday morning, I had my PTA pushed out until last night. And the reason that I did that is because the wind was just awful. By the way, that load that was going to Florida only weighed 12,000 pounds. I picked that up in Monmouth, Illinois, and it only weighed 12,000 pounds. So I got to do that whole 1,000 miles for $3,000, and it only weighed 12,000 pounds, which was great until I got into south of Atlanta. Because south of Atlanta, the wind just kicked up, man, and it beat my ass all night until I got it. So I get into Walmart, and the wind, now 12,000 pounds, at least it's something in the trailer, but it was very obvious to me that this was going to be a problem with an empty trailer, right? So I made a decision. I was looking at the wind maps. I've got the upgraded weather app. I've got Windy, all that stuff, and I'm looking at all that, and I just made the decision, nah, I ain't trying to, because there's like this weird thing off the coast of Florida right now that's just got crazy wind on it. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna play with that with an empty trailer. So I went and parked. Now it looked like that was all gonna kind of settle down during the day yesterday, but that's not what happened. So my plan when I accepted this load that I have right now was to go pick it up last night. It had a 6:30 DDT this morning, drop dead time, but I knew it was ready last night. So I woke up at 9 p.m. last night, drank a full cup of coffee, and then was getting ready to go to brush my teeth and go inside, and I felt the truck rock, and I thought, oh, someone just hit me. So I get up, I pull the curtains, and I realized it was wind. And it was 35 to 40 mile per hour wind right there where I-10 hits 75, and I was parked over at the Loves in McLenny. Am I saying that right? So I pull up the wind maps, and it becomes very obvious. I ain't driving with an empty trailer. It was bad enough with 12,000 pounds. And guys, I'm like a couple months away from 1,000,000 safe miles, you know, and you get to 1,000,000 safe miles by being safe. So I'm not suggesting that I'm not normally a safe driver. I am. But you get particularly cautious when you are getting this close. Kind of like TNT. When you're in TNT, that last 5,000 miles, you're hoping your trainer drives as much of it as possible. You know, so I'm getting much more like cautious of risk. And I knew how violent it was even with that empty trailer, or with that 12,000 pounds. There was no way. And it was direct crosswind too. Like, I'll get out there in 35 miles per hour with an empty trailer, gust, not sustained, if I'm driving right into it or if it's behind me. But if it's a direct crosswind, nah, man, I'm not playing. 30 is an uncomfortable, but I'll do it. You get it pushing up there, 33, 35, I'm not about it. That's just too much, because it just takes one freak gust and it's game over. So I was like, it was looking like it was gonna be all night. So, and I had just slept all day yesterday. I had just woke up. So I wasn't gonna be able to go back to bed, but I had to tell dispatch, yeah, I can't go get this right now, man. It's weather related. I still think I can run it, but I'm not gonna be able to go get it until tomorrow. So, and I explained, you know, weather, wind, and all that. So they ended up moving the appointment to anytime before 5:30 this evening. Let me get in my truck here. Let me get in my truck because I'm tired of holding my phone. Today's Saturday, and they ended up moving the appointment to 5:30 this evening, the DDT, which was perfect. But I certainly wasn't going to wait that long, because if I did go pick it up at 5:30 this evening, then there's a pretty high likelihood that it would be a problem in terms of getting it to its 90, because it would have messed with my clock and it would have just messed things up. So really, if I wanted to keep this load, get to the Midwest early Monday morning, up there in Wisconsin, you know, Illinois, that area, then I'd have to go get it this morning, or I'd have to be taken off the load, because it just, or they'd have to move the 90. If they move the 90, they'd have to probably move the 90 to the next day because of this receiver. So I just had to wait until the wind got down to when it was an acceptable level, which was about 5:30 or 6 this morning. I'm sitting outside of Jacksonville, and it was 29 mile per hour gust. So, and it was 29 mile per hour gust from McLenny to Moultrie, which is 140 miles, I think roughly 140 miles. So and it was a direct crosswind. And it was weird. It was a direct crosswind from the north to the south on 10 going all the way to Lake City. Then when I got on 75, the wind shifted a little bit to where it was a direct crosswind from the northeast to the southwest. So all the way up 75, broadside, straight broadside. Then when I got onto, I think it's 133, I believe, that goes out to Moultrie from 75, the wind shifted again, pointing more southward, and was direct broadside. So, and I'm like pulling over and checking these maps. I pulled up, I got a washout at some joint next to a Pilot there, and was pulling up the wind map. So I was always aware. I got fuel at Pilot and Jasper, so I'm checking all the wind apps and I'm seeing the directions, and the directions of the wind are basically hitting the side of my trailer directly, no matter which direction I'm going. The wind was changing with the change of my direction. So there was just like, and it happened every time I made a turn of direction. Get on 10 to 75, wind changes, still hits me broadside. Get on from 75 to 133, wind changes north to south, still hit me broadside. So that was just an uncomfortable 140 miles. Uncomfortable. You know, according to all the wind maps, it was a max of 29 gust, but it was pretty, I know the sustain was only like 17 or 18, but those gusts were coming in hot. They were coming in hot, man. When I pulled over for that washout, I moved the tandems back to the 12th hole. Now, some of you may think that that has no impact. I don't agree with that. I think that does any little, I said in the last video, everything is about minimizing risk. And don't take this as advice, because I don't want to play any part in your decisions. I'm just telling you what I do. When I've got wind like that and I'm empty, I'm going to the 12th hole. And the reason, my logic for it, whether this is sound or not, it's logical to me, is I want to create more airflow in front of the tandems, A, airflow in front of the tandems and below the trailer, and B, I want as much weight on the fifth wheel as possible, because that's the fifth wheel is the pivot point. Like, to me, that's the weak point of the whole apparatus. When wind is coming, the trailer sitting on that fifth wheel has a lot of play, and I want as much weight on that fifth wheel as possible. So moving the tandems to the 12th hole, as far back as I can legally put them, puts as much weight as I can possibly put on the fifth wheel plate, on the truck. So, you know, I'm back there sliding the tandems, making sure I put as much weight on the truck as possible, creating some airflow, air gap, or whatever you want to call it, in front of the tandems, because these trailers have these wind, whatever you call them, down underneath the trailer. They're blocking wind from being able to get under the trailer, so I'm trying to create that, doing everything I can, you know. And it was sketchy, man. I was thoroughly sketched out that whole drive. I just don't like wind, you guys. I've been saying this for years, man. I'm as long as it's a Midwest blizzard, I will likely get out and drive in it. I'll drive slow, I'll drive cautious, it'll take me some time. There's not a whole lot in the Midwest that'll shut me down, snow-wise. But wind, I don't mess with wind. I've known several people that got taken over, and experienced people. I mentioned it many times. A friend of Jen and I's, 10-year driver, 10 years, and he got rolled over on a on-ramp with an empty trailer about 5 or 6 years ago. So I just don't play with wind, man. But anyway, I get it. So I finally make it to this shipper this morning, and I was just exhausted. I was so exhausted. Like that, it was only 140 miles, but when you got 140 miles like that, when you're getting knocked out of the lane, and you know, you're just constantly watching that trailer to make sure you know what it's doing, how it's reacting, how the truck feels. There's like some mental gymnastics that just wears you out. And so I ended up just parking right here at this truck stop, which is like 6 miles away, and had to go pay cash to put fuel in the reefer and deal with all that, because I was just too tired, man. I didn't sleep all night because I slept yesterday, which is, you know, one of those things. It's always kind of funny with dispatch, not my fleet manager, but some dispatchers, where they see your clock and don't understand how you could be tired. And it's like, bro, if I sleep yesterday, I can't sleep all night. So if I'm up all night, then I haven't slept. Just because, and so my clock will say, I've got 14 hours on duty. I'm good to go. Yeah, but I haven't slept. I haven't slept since yesterday. So I was just exhausted, man. I got over here and parked. I did a lot of work yesterday. Well, I don't want to talk about that yet. We'll have a conversation about that down the road. But I want I'm trying to gather. I've created this script that's pulling some freight data into a dashboard for me right now. So that's giving me some really good insight. I'm going to start talking about that soon. But it's interesting. I don't know if this is the case with Prime, but I know Cody and some of my friends know drivers that are in the process of coming to Prime, and that process right now seems to be slowing down. It seems to be slowing way down. It seems that there's not an urgency to get new drivers onboarded. They're still hiring. They're still bringing new drivers in, but it's not like how soon can we get you into orientation? It's like, yeah, we'll get back to you next Monday. It's becoming like a 2-week process from all the approval to actually getting into orientation versus, all right, you're good. Can you start Monday? So it seems to me that there may be some slowdown in that process, and I wonder how all of that's impacting, because freight as a whole, and I hate to say this to you guys, but freight as a whole, not Prime, I'm just saying as a whole, is getting worse, and it's going to continue to get worse. Now we had some trending up, but it's grinding to a halt. It's a big problem, and I think it's gonna get worse. Prime, to their credit, and I've said this for years, this is one of the reasons that I chose to drive to pull Prime Freight, has been pretty damn consistent, and they're holding tight. They're holding firm. They're holding on. You may see some rates out there you don't like. I certainly do. But man, our freight's pretty consistent. And we still do have good paying freight. We also have some bad paying freight, but we have freight. That's the important part. We have freight. We're making it through this. And my trucks this week are, let's see, my Peterbilt is, well, he's already pre-planned through Tuesday, and I believe his gross will be 6,000 Tuesday morning. I think, yeah, Tuesday morning his gross will be 6,000, and this load, I just took the one for 3,000 to Florida. This load pays 1,700, so I'll be at 4,700. I deliver this Monday morning, so this truck will be at 4,700 Monday morning gross. The Peterbilt will be at 6,000 Tuesday morning. So I'm doing good, man. I've had a great few weeks. I was home for a month, and then the few weeks before that, I was doing great. So refrigerated freight at Prime seems to be doing really well. I'm just glad I'm loaded for this, because it's still pretty breezy, still pretty windy, and don't have to go do that empty thing I did last night. So here's my question for you if you made it this far. What is your maximum crosswind gust for an empty trailer? I'm not asking you to make a recommendation. I'm just asking you personally, like, where do you draw the line? Because everybody has a different answer for it. And I think probably we would all agree that the answer is up until you don't feel that it's safe or comfortable to drive. But if I'm parked and trying to make a decision for the night, usually 30 miles per hour, straight direct crosswind with an empty trailer is going to be my maximum. That's going to be, I know some guys say 35. I'm not in the 35 camp. 30 is kind of my maximum. 30, when you get to 35, it starts feeling really weird, fast. So I'd be curious to know. All right, guys, appreciate y'all. Be safe, make good decisions, always drive, thrive. I'll talk to y'all soon.